Turns out this whole entire time, people pleasing is a survival tactic. I need to tell you the story that completely changed my perception on why we people please. So I was talking to a friend. I was specifically sharing with her this moment where I was working one of my first full-time jobs, and my boss texted me and asked me if I wanted to come over for dinner. Now, he had presented to me before this an opportunity where, like, some people in the office, they work on this voluntary project outside of work together, and sometimes they get together over dinner. So I was just positive that that's what he meant, because in my mind, I'm like, there's no way that he's just inviting me over. Not that it would have been appropriate regardless, but I was like 22 and he was like in his 40s and single. I was super naive, but at the same time, I understood that that would have been very inappropriate if he was only inviting me. So when I responded, is this like a work thing? He made it clear that it was just me coming over for him to make me dinner. When I responded that I don't think that would be appropriate, I was so nervous to even say that. But what happened after that was he started retaliating at work. Like, I don't think he even responded to that message, maybe because it would have been very incriminating for him. A couple of people from the office, including him, went to a conference shortly thereafter. He would give me such an attitude and he would be super dry around me in front of my colleagues. And he and I previously had a decent relationship that I thought was just strictly professional. Come to find out, he literally asked me on a date and I said no, and then he started giving me a huge attitude. So instead of me kind of reporting him to HR or talking about it with someone at work that I trusted, or even like saying something back to him, because the version of myself now, I'm like, I don't need you. I don't need this job. You're going to hear what I have to say. Like, that is the energy that I come with. Like, you're not about to just get away with taking advantage of me and not feeling stupid doing so. Like, that is the energy that I come with today. But the 22-year-old, more timid, more naive version of me was so confused because I respected him. And I was like, well, everyone seems to respect him and he's been working here for 15 years. I've been here for 15 minutes. Like, what am I going to look like coming in and trying to say that he did this? So I started to self-gaslight a little bit and thinking like maybe he wasn't doing something wrong. He's making me feel like I'm the one that's stupid for thinking he did something wrong. So I fully went into people-pleasing mode with him, where I was doing my best to try to reassure him that he's good, like we're good. Didn't stay that way, just to kind of give you a little satisfaction. I stayed there for about a year, and then at the end, towards the end, I was just going hard at him. Like, I don't know what happened in that year, but I just lost all respect for him and I didn't care about the job at all anymore. And I started to kind of see things as they were. And so I wouldn't let him get away with any type of attitude or any type of weird vibe with me. Like, I would literally call out my boss in front of other people. So I got like some satisfaction out of that version of me, but I'm still angry for the 22-year-old version of me who felt the need to make him feel better about being abusive and predatory towards me. So when I was sharing this story with a friend, she blew my mind because she shared with me a story of how she went to, I think it was either a gynecologist or some doctor where it was a man. And when he saw her body, he made very inappropriate comments about her body and made her feel ashamed of her body. And like, you're literally in a vulnerable position where this person is your doctor and you are naked in front of them or showing them certain parts of your body. For them to say anything at all that isn't about the thing that they're supposed to be treating you for is very inappropriate in itself, but to go so far as to say something that is strictly sexual and strictly about the actual looks of your body, that is just a whole nother level. And she told me that she kind of laughed it off, and she got so angry at herself for laughing it off. What she really wanted to do is yell at him or report him. She ended up reporting him, by the way. But in that moment, she was upset with herself for laughing it off. But then she remembered that there's research on why women do this. And that research is that in that moment, you feel the need to kind of throw them off the scent, or you feel the need to not make them feel that you are offended, because if you show them how you really feel, you can subject yourself to them attacking you further. They'll realize that they now need to defend themselves from the fact that you were uncomfortable or you were offended. And now something that is already feeling like a dangerous, unsafe situation for you now feels even more dangerous because they feel that they need to manipulate you or gaslight you or worse, even hurt you, so that you don't say something that jeopardizes them. They know they did something wrong. So if you just laugh it off, you reassure them that like, I'm not gonna threaten you. And when I looked at it through that lens, as much as I hate the dynamic, it gave me so much more empathy for the younger version of myself who truly felt unsafe. And it gave me so much empathy for my friend who was telling me the story, feeling like she's literally exposed in front of somebody who could do something really bad to her in that moment. And she needed to laugh it off to kind of like let him know like it's fine, it's okay. And then deal with your emotions after the fact when you're alone and when you're safe. I say this not because I want you to feel like you should be people pleasing. I say this so that you can understand why you do it before you judge it. I know that these are two situations with men who are in power, but even with someone like a parent or someone like a friend, you are feeling a little bit unsafe in that situation. Even if they don't intend to make you feel that way, there is something that makes you feel not reassured in that situation. And so you feel the need to put their feelings before your own so that you can feel safe. You feel the need to control the situation by trying to control how they perceive you. If you can do something that makes you a little bit more comfortable with how they perceive you, that is making you feel safer. So understand it before you judge it, before you get down on yourself, before you attack yourself for having this tendency. And if it is something that you want to change, because I'm assuming it is, I definitely, every time I sense that I'm people pleasing, I'm like, okay, let's talk about this. What is it? What is it that's going on? After having worked on this for years, there are so many moments where I still sense that I'm people pleasing, and I have to take a step back and ask myself, what is making you feel unsafe right now? Are you truly actually unsafe, or are you just uncomfortable? Like, I think it's safe to say that if someone was holding you at gunpoint, you should be people pleasing, okay? That is what you need to do in that moment. You need to please that person so that they don't shoot you. If you were in a really vulnerable situation where you feel like someone might really SA you or take advantage of you, it makes sense to try to please that person in a way where it's like, I don't even know if please is the right word, but I would say disarm that person. A lot of our people pleasing behaviors are really just our attempts at disarming somebody. So if someone is actually armed and ready to hurt you, then it is completely okay for you to think of ways to disarm that person so that they don't attack you. But when it comes to, picking what movie to watch with your family, why is it that you feel unsafe to speak up? Why is it that you feel unsafe even if you do something that doesn't please them? Even if you speak your mind and people get offended, are you uncomfortable or are you actually unsafe? That is a question really only you can answer, but I'm willing to bet that there are so many moments where you feel unsafe and you feel tempted to people please to create that level of safety or reassurance where the world would not end at all if you just spoke up for yourself. Making other people uncomfortable doesn't actually jeopardize your safety. There might have been a time where that was true for you, but to take that trauma and extrapolate it onto all of your relationships is actually not helping you or the people that you're in relationships with, because chances are the majority of people in your life, I'm hoping all of the people in your life, want you to feel safe. They want you to do what's best for you. They want you to be happy. You may have gotten them used to a dynamic where you pick their feelings over yours. And sure, it might take a little bit of time for them to readjust to the version of you who sets boundaries and speaks up for herself. But when they understand that you're happier that way, they're going to ultimately be happy, even at the expense of their own comfort. So I want you to remind yourself that in all of your relationships where this is true, remind yourself that you're safe. For the relationships where you're not safe, allow this little prompt to expose those relationships and do your best to cut ties with those people if possible. You should not be feeling like you need to sacrifice your own needs and wants to actually be safe. But for the relationships where you're not, where it's really truly not a matter of safety, but just a matter of comfort, remind yourself that you are safe regardless what you decide to say, regardless what you decide to do. You are safe and secure, regardless how they feel about you. It might be uncomfortable. You might not like their negative perception of you, but you're still safe. And I would argue you are even safer in the body that advocates for herself than you are in the body of the person who is only advocating for other people at the expense of herself. This was my little pep talk and kind of story time just to help you see this from a different perspective. I create a lot of people-pleasing content. I know you've probably watched so many of those videos, and I do think they're missing that lens of why we do it. We truly do it because we feel like we're being preyed upon. We need to create this sense of safety so that we don't feel targeted by people in our lives. And having that understanding might help you empathize with that tendency and maybe might help highlight where you got it from to begin with. But moving forward, I also want you to know this doesn't have to be your reality. You can stop people pleasing. You can catch it in the moment and choose another option so that you can finally feel like you're on your own side. Let me know what this brought up for you, or if you have any questions about this. I love you so much, and as always, stay powerful, my love.